What's up, world? Welcome to the Jennifer Gray Show, the place where you can get unstuck, make shift happen, and not take life so seriously. And I'm here with my dear friend and colleague, Brian Lemmerman. He is a mindfulness trainer as well as a mindful media creator. He has a really cool company that we'll talk about later. He is a professor of mindfulness at Barry University in Miami Shores, and he's also the co-host of Mindfulness of Doom.
Mindfulness of Doom.
Woo! Which is a really great podcast that addresses the darker side of life with awareness and a sense of humor. So there's about 20 more pages of his bio, and I'm going to just leave it at that.
That's perfect. Thank you so much for the introduction,
Thanks
Jen.
for coming. I'm so happy to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yay. So Brian thought it would be nice, since today's show is all about mindfulness, is to start our show with some mindful breathing or a little meditation. So Brian, take it away.
Sure. Welcome everybody to the show. If you haven't yet already, one of my favorite things to do to start every day is take a nice deep breath. And the breath is one of those things that is really convenient to use as a meditation object because you get to carry it with you all the time. So when you're ready, and I know, Jen, you've already taken one. You've probably taken several.
I was a little advanced.
Hey, that's okay.
Okay.
On 3, 1, 2, 3, breathe in. And if you enjoyed that, go ahead and take one more. Very good. And just for a moment, I invite you to check in with yourself and notice how you're feeling right now after taking that breath with us. Notice the changes in your body. Notice your changes in your mood. Notice whether there's any difference in the relaxation or the tension that you've been carrying in your shoulders or your neck or your back or even your forehead and your eyebrows. Just notice how you're feeling. And then let's go ahead and take one more and relax even deeper. Awesome. The one thing that I like to say is anything that you were carrying with you in your mind before you sat down to listen to today's show, you're welcome to check at the door behind you, and you can pick it up on your way out if you would like to. If not, the cleaning crew will sweep it up at the end of the day.
Awesome. Yes. It's so nice. You know what I'm doing now with my CIJ group is on Facebook Live in their group every morning. I'm guiding them in meditation and journaling.
Beautiful.
So it has transformed everybody's practice because, you know, they have the accountability and me sitting with them. So we got to practice mindfulness this morning when there was a helicopter that wouldn't stop circling. So I had to bring the meditation inside this morning, and, you know, and then even last night, I did a meditation at the One Hotel. Normally it's up on the rooftop. It's fabulous and gorgeous. And so they tell me that the rooftop is booked and I'm on the beach, which I think is wonderful, right? So I go out to the beach, and apparently I wasn't supposed to be on the real beach. I was supposed to be on their private beach. So now we reconvene to the private beach where there are events going on either side of us. And there's the thump, boom, 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 boom. And then there's helicopters going. And I was like, and this is the practice.
Correct.
This is the practice of how non-reactive we can be and how we can just stay like, it's perfect. We actually get to practice being the calm in the eye of the storm.
Yeah. One of the biggest resistances that I hear from people when it comes to starting a meditation practice, people will say things like, oh, well, I can't get my mind to shut up, or there's just so many distractions that I'm just not very good at meditation and I just can't quiet the mind. And the good news is that's absolutely perfect. That's the best place to start because your brain is working.
Yeah.
Yeah, your mind is going to think that's its job. And I've never heard a single person tell me, oh, I wish I could get this stupid heart to stop beating, right? Like it's the mind's job to think.
I love that.
Like it's the brain's job to think. It's the mind's job to think like it's the heart's job to beat. And given that we have the ability to sit and focus on a meditation object, such as the breath, such as a sound, such as feelings in the body, despite the distractions in the mind,
Yeah.
despite distractions of helicopters and club
Yeah.
music surrounding us.
Yep. And you know what was, I had a weird aha last night, which is the most obvious thing in the entire world. And I was kind of giggling as my students, the few that were on the beach with me, and then we went back and found the other 50 people that were, where they were supposed to be. And they watched my kind of malaise, or my upsetness about the situation, where I was just like, oh, well, here it is. And this is definitely not what I want. And I'm vocally talking about the fact that, and I'm going to just drop the rope. I'm just going to let that shit go because that's the practice. And then when I was sitting in the meditation, and there's all this nonsense, and it was like, what I got, and it almost sounds ridiculous, right? The awareness, the aha, the big boom that went off in my mind last night was like, oh, I just practice being calm 20 minutes a day.
Mm-hmm.
I just practice being calm 20 minutes a day. That's what meditation is for me. Just practicing being calm despite the dog barking, despite the helicopter, despite my busy mind, just practicing being okay with all of that, right? Just practicing being calm. And then when life happens, as it always happens, and
Always.
shit hits the fan, and there's big and little things that are happening, and then I practiced that morning being calm through all of the noise and the distractions in my brain and outside my brain, and now life is happening and I'm calm.
Yeah. Thank God life is still happening.
Life is lifing. That's what Joe Engelson always says. Life's
Yeah.
going to keep lifing.
Yeah, it's going to keep lifing, and it's also really messy.
Yeah.
As much as we desire to control and force the outcomes that we want and to put things into place and to tell people to do whatever we want them to do, nothing really goes exactly the way that we planned it to. And if you're one of those really high-strung type A personality folks, I can relate. I used to be very much that
Me
way.
too, former.
That could induce a lot of stress.
Right.
And one of the biggest helpful techniques that I started practicing was emotional awareness. And we can get into that in a little bit, but I think we should backtrack a little bit and talk about what is mindfulness.
Yeah, let's just high level, because people are always like, be here now. What does that mean? And
Yeah,
I
why don't
think
you
it's
just
a
live in
great-
the present moment, bro?
Yeah. So I'd love to hear your high level take on what is mindfulness, and then we can go down the road. And we're excited to share some interesting tips and tools today as well.
Yeah, so mindfulness can be defined in many different ways, but put very simply, mindfulness is the act of paying attention to your attention. Right? We have this thing called attention. It's something that the mind does. We can focus it on usually one thing at a time. For those of you multitaskers out there, I've got bad news. You're probably terrible at all of the things you're trying to juggle simultaneously, and your mind can only do one thing at a time really well.
They did a study in the Wall Street Journal.
They did.
They did. Or they published one in the Wall Street Journal. And they took two groups and they said, you guys, here's your to-do list, multitask, have at it. The other group, you must do one thing at a time. You can't go to the next thing until the one before it is crossed off the list. Who do you think finished far faster than the other group?
Of course, when you're unitasking.
Yeah.
Unitasking.
And one of my meditation teachers, Antonio, have you ever gone to the Miami Life Center?
No.
He's a great meditation teacher there. He's on Sundays. And he said to me, multitasking is a form of self-aggression. That's so aggressive towards self, to be answering an email, cooking dinner, switching the laundry, talking to your kid, trying to do the homework, answering the door, and then what happens? The food burns.
Right.
You forget to switch the laundry and it goes moldy. You send the email out, the kid's pissed off, and whatever. It's just a shit show.
All the while your attention is split, which means you're out of integrity, right? The word integrity, integral, is oneness. Right, and so when the attention is in one place at a time, be it on a task, on the body, on an emotional sensation, whatever it is that you're focusing on, you have integrity in that moment. But as soon as the attention splits, you fall out of integrity. And as you know, when you fall out of integrity, that creates a very stress-inducing reaction in the body. Right, the attention gets split, the same thing happens. It's very stress-inducing.
So I love carrots of motivation. And this to me is such a, because I'm like a big integrity person,
Yeah.
right? So like my whole life is about being source and being in integrity because I know when I'm out of integrity, whether that's like a bill that needs to be paid or the parking meter, or like a conversation that I know I need to have, like when I'm out of integrity, my whole life does not work. And when I get back into integrity, all everything goes and starts to flow, right? Being my word. And I love that you are putting multitasking, because I still effing do it, with being split and out of integrity. And that
Yeah.
is a new context for me, which is a carrot of motivation to stay in integrity and do one thing at a time
Yeah. And
as much
then,
as I can.
as you mentioned, like multitasking, it's self torture.
It
We're
is.
literally causing our own bodily harm by splitting the attention. And that's not to say that it's completely bad, right? There are some times when it might be necessary to do it to complete tasks, but try not to make a habit of it. I'm
Yeah,
speaking to probably an audience that has a habit of multitasking. I can relate. And this is where mindfulness really comes in. So I
right.
mentioned that mindfulness is paying attention to your attention.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, 95% or more of the time, for most people, the attention is just going after whatever shiny object pops up first, and we're trying to catch all these balls that are in the air.
Right.
When we stop for a moment and pay attention to what the attention is doing, we
Mm,
then have some space to reel it back in and take command over it.
yes.
And with practice, it becomes a habit. So if you currently have the habit of multitasking or simply sitting around letting your mind wander all day and do whatever it does without having any command over it, it will take some effort. It will take work to train it back into place. It's kind of like training a dog. And the same thing when you're sitting down for your daily meditation and the mind is like, I don't want to, this is uncomfortable, this is boring, this is stupid, I'm hungry, get up, go do something. That's your dog's mind just wanting to go do whatever the shiny object is. And you go,
Right.
no, sit,
Ah. Oh,
sit.
I like that.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so with mindfulness, we're training ourselves into a certain way of being. You're training your attention to focus on one object at a time to get it into the present moment. So when
Mm-hmm.
people are like, hey, man, why don't you live in the present moment? This is really what they're talking about.
And we
And
even always are in the present moment. Even, we talk about future and past. So that's only in, a scenario in your mind, because even if you are worrying about the future and regretting the past, you're still in the present moment doing that.
correct.
So you're always in the present moment because there is no place else you could ever be unless you are a time traveler.
Right.
And it's just about what Brian is stating. What are you giving your attention to? Are you giving your attention to the beautiful person that is in front of you that is trying to share themselves with you? Or are you giving your attention to what you have to do later or worrying or regretting about something? It's like, where are you placing your attention? And then we find that when your attention is placed on what is right here, right now, instead of, the craziness in the mind, then there's peace.
Yeah.
Unless there is a gorilla coming at you with a deadly banana in the present moment. Usually, right here, right now, you are okay.
Yeah. Well, even if the gorilla is coming at you, you can stay in the present and you want to get the heck out of there.
Sure.
Yeah. It's so the mind does a lot of automatic thinking and it's constantly planning and ruminating and logging past experiences into our future so that we don't make the same mistakes twice or get caught in the same nonsense over and over again. And it's really helpful that it does that. So there's nothing wrong with thinking or allowing the mind to be in a state of thoughting by itself. I
Mhm.
use thoughting as just a way of automatically thinking.
I like that. Thoughting.
Um,
Is that officially a word?
no,
Professor
I
Lemmerman?
think I made it up. I may be
This
the
is
least,
the professor of mindfulness
maybe
at
the
Barry
least
University.
academic professor out there. Yeah.
I want to come to your class.
Yeah,
Can I
you're,
be a
you're more than
guest?
welcome to. Tonight we're doing emotional
make it
awareness. Oh, girl.
We'll get into emotional awareness in
Yeah.
a second. Thoughting.
Thoughting. Yeah, so the mind is doing that and it's useful. And the practice of mindfulness helps us to discern when it's a good idea to pay attention to the thoughting and choose to believe what the mind is telling us
Sure.
versus choosing to observe the thoughting and go, hey, thanks for telling me that, but not right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. It's all about awareness. You
Yeah.
know, that's what mindfulness really is the awareness of where am I putting my attention? And the opposite of mindfulness is forgetfulness, when you are unaware,
Yes.
on autopilot, and just, doing your do, and
So mindlessness.
mindlessness. I like forgetfulness to be the opposite of it, but that's okay. Mindlessness is better.
And there's a difference between mindfulness and meditation. A lot of people confuse the two terms.
Yeah.
So mindfulness is the act of paying attention to your attention or just being aware, which you can do at any time of the
Anytime.
day, no matter what it is that you're doing. Meditation speaks to a particular practice that could look a certain way. So one form of meditation is the stereotypical when you're sitting on the cushion and you do the thing with, you put your, for those of you who are watching the Facebook Live, you can see the mudra of putting your fingers together. That's one way of doing it. I don't really know what this means. I don't teach this. So that's
it's a
not really my style.
mudra.
Yeah. But you can sit, keep your hands on your lap, or you can do walking meditation, you can do breath meditation, you can do emotional sensation meditation. There are all different types of focus meditations where you pick one particular object to concentrate your attention on. And the concentration practice helps you to maintain your focus throughout the rest of your day afterward. It's like a practice session for your concentration.
Right.
A lot of people have the impression that meditation is supposed to be relaxing and chill, and it's supposed to be totally quiet and with no disturbances, and that's actually the furthest from the truth.
Yes.
When you're sitting and meditating, it's hard.
Yeah, it's work.
Yeah, it
Yep.
takes effort. And
It's like taking your mind to the brain gym, it's work.
right. And so it's a lot different from sitting around and watching television and going, oh yeah, TV is my meditation. That's probably not true.
No, that's mindlessness. And I think once in a while that's fine,
Yeah.
to have your show and just to kind of zone out, and there's nothing wrong with it. I always ask people, like, what is your distraction of choice? And is it, because usually if somebody's in pain, right, and they're experiencing anxiety or their present circumstances, it's not a scenario, it's just they're in a tough time, they've just gone through a heartbreak or a loss or something's going on in their life, and we're prescribing mindfulness, right?
Yeah.
Which is to be with it, but also put your attention on something maybe a little bit more proactive, like a candle, like doing the calm palm, like your breath, like moving your attention instead of to the rumination of the sad thoughts, to move
Right.
your attention to, your breath, to your palm, to the candle, to whatever mindfulness that you're practicing, versus moving your attention to, binge watching Netflix or drinking a bottle of Chardonnay or
Correct. Because you know that when you use those distractions, the problem itself doesn't go away.
no.
And whatever you resist persists. So if you're unwilling to look at the pain and the discomfort that you're going through, it's only going to compound and get stronger and
Yeah.
push back even more.
Yeah, those Band-Aids don't really work.
Yeah.
So, John, thank you.
Oh, yes.
I also think that the plug now is in front of the camera.
Right on.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. So
But real quick,
sure.
well, I don't know. I think I lost my train of thought. We were talking about pain. Oh, yeah. So, it's understandable that people don't want to pay attention and be with that. But it's, the dark night of the woods, the fastest way through is to go through it to where the light is. And when we run away from it and Band-Aid, it gets bigger and yuckier.
Right. And this is what the podcast Mindfulness of Doom is about. It talks about all these dark aspects of life, the pain, the discomfort, the displeasures, all the yucky stuff that is really unpopular to talk about, at least in our culture.
Yeah.
Because when people get into meditation or they want to move through life, they want everything to be all like love and light.
Yeah.
And good vibes
unicorns and
only.
butterflies.
And, that's nice. But I gotta say, I really love pain and discomfort as a meditation object because I know that the more intensely I put my attention on it, the faster it gets resolved and the faster I can move on with life. One big misconception that I encounter a lot is that time heals all wounds. Have you heard that one?
Yes, many times.
I don't
I've
have
also
time for that.
said that. Yikes.
Oh, JG, here we go. Yeah,
So tell us about that. You don't have time for time.
Yeah,
So like
I
you
mean-
want to heal it now,
yeah,
insta heal.
insta healing. So,
Mhm.
so I'm gonna patent that.
Oh yeah, I already did.
oh shoot.
My team heard it. They're off
Oh,
and running.
Goodness, they bought the
They
domain and
trademarked
everything.
it, yeah.
The splash page is up. It's over. Yeah. So time is necessary to a certain extent. We exist in a physical body that is here in time and space. So you get a cut or something like that, it will take time to close. However, there's a certain amount of attention and care that you can give to that wound to help it heal more quickly.
Mhm.
So the general rule is intensity of attention compresses time. The more neutral attention that I give to any wound, particularly an emotional wound,
Mhm.
the more quickly it will heal.
Yeah.
So this is something that I practiced about 3 years ago. I was struck by a vehicle.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right before I met you.
Yeah, and that was the single best event that ever happened to me in my
Yeah.
entire life. And
You were on your bike and you got
Yeah.
hit by a car,
yep, got
Right.
rear-ended by a Lexus Hybrid. He was very environmentally conscious.
but not driving.
I was
conscious.
not conscious.
Okay, right. You were knocked out.
I was knocked out. And over the coming months, I discovered that I was exhibiting symptoms of PTSD to the point where if I would hear car noises, my body would hit the deck.
Wow.
Yeah, I would lose complete control over the body. And it was something where the body was reacting to stimuli before my mind could even throw a thought about it.
Got it. Yeah. So it was your fight or flight response that was so heightened, which we see with people with trauma,
Correct.
right? That have gone through different traumas. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm really interested in this
Yeah.
because you were able to heal this.
Yeah.
Right?
Trauma is
Okay.
one of my favorite subjects because it has to do with the body's clinging to some past event.
Mm.
That the energy or the memory of that event was so significant for us that it gets stored as a visceral experience that can get triggered by a similar experience. So for example, I got hit by a car. If I would hear a car horn, my body would immediately shut down, go into anxiety and panic mode, and I would lose feeling.
Wow.
Paying attention with practice, right? It's not an easy thing to do, and it's rather controversial to tell somebody who's been through any kind of trauma to say, okay, great, now we're going to sit here and you're just going
feel
to
it.
put your attention on all that yucky feeling, right? Yeah, you're going to sit here and feel it
Mhm.
as though it's happening in real time, and you're going to learn to be okay with it.
Yeah.
That's a very challenging thing to do.
Yeah.
Because the mind is also a very powerful thing. It has all of its judgments and resistances to that past event. No, you don't want to do that again.
I don't
You
want to
don't
think
want
about
feel
it. I want to
that
talk
person
about
is
it.
terrible, right? And then we go through all of that. But to get past that, remember, it's a matter of where you put your attention.
Mm-hmm.
So if the attention's going to the mind's thoughting,
Mm-hmm.
then you miss the visceral sensation
The
in the
feeling.
body
Mm-hmm.
that is really what is sapping us of our power.
Yeah.
So being
So
able
moving from mind to emotion, right? So
Correct.
if you conjure up a past trauma, it's not about paying attention to the thoughts about the trauma.
Mhm.
It's about allowing that feeling to come forth and then just getting curious
Yeah.
about the texture,
Correct.
guide me through that a little
Yeah,
bit. Like
so-
how would you guide somebody to be noticing their feeling of trauma?
Yeah,
Or-
as a practice, and I don't recommend that you do this with us, alongside us, especially if you're driving in a car right now.
don't do it.
No, don't do it. But as a general rule, you can try this when you get home. Make sure there's somebody around you who can bring you a glass of water and catch you in case you fall over. But make sure you're in a comfortable space, in a safe space where you can emote if you are going to do this practice. It's a matter of going in and recreating the situation in your mind's eye,
Mhm.
going back into the memory of whatever took place,
Mhm.
recreating the situation as specifically as possible with the sights, the sounds, the
yeah.
smells,
Mhm.
who was there, what was being said,
Yeah.
what you're feeling in your body, what position your body was in.
Mm.
And this varies from event to event, person to person, depending on the kind of trauma that you had experienced. But going into that past situation and then allowing yourself to fully feel whatever sensations come up in your body
Mm-hmm.
as a result. So we have a tendency to want to label what it is that we're feeling
Mm-hmm.
and just dismiss it as, oh, well, this is my anxiety.
Mm.
And when we do that, we go immediately into the mind judgment about what we're feeling, right? When
Mm-hmm.
we label something, it's, well, now I've gotten into the thought about what it is.
Yep.
So let me return my attention to the quality of the feeling. For me, when I experience anxiety, it shows up as a very warm,
Mm.
tight, burning, vibrating sensation in my chest and a really heavy, dense, sinking feeling in the pit of my gut. And so I'll recreate that scenario, allow the anxiety, the sensations that comprise what I think anxiety is to come up
Mm-hmm.
in my body, and then pay attention to the specific qualities that those sensations have. Is it heavy or light? What size is it? What color is it?
Mm-hmm.
Is it expanded or contracted? Is it warm or cool? Does it have movement or is it still? Is it buzzing or vibrating? And pay attention to its intensity level
Mm-hmm.
without judging the sensations as something bad or something that I want to get rid of. I'm training myself to just sit with and feel with neutral attention what's taking place in my body
Got
and
it.
allowing it to be there exactly as it is without wanting it to go away, without trying to get rid of it.
Fix it, change it.
Yeah. There's nothing to do except for just feel the experience fully.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the gift that we have as human beings. We have a body that we get to have an experience through. Everything that we encounter in life, physical and non-physical, we experience through our body and our senses. So learning how to pay attention to what's taking place in the body with neutral attention helps that emotional energy to come up, to be experienced fully, and then once it's experienced fully, it begins to lose its power.
Right.
The
Yeah.
judgments don't hold as much
Got
grit
it.
over us.
Got it. And so then when there's another event, another triggering event, you've done this kind of process on
Yeah.
your own and maybe had an emotional release or journaled about it or
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Look, you might cry, you might get angry, you might want to yell. By all means, let it out.
Right.
Also be responsible with
Yeah.
your emoting.
Right.
Not a good idea so much to do it in a public place.
Probably not.
In the comfort of your own home or with people that you trust.
Like feel your feelings, experience your experience without
Correct.
judgment, with awareness, neutral awareness.
Correct.
And then coming out of that, then the car horn beeps or something, right, triggers the trauma. Then
Right.
what did you start to see? What would happen just as your kind of evolution in this process?
Yeah, so then the next few times it would happen, I would get a jolt through my body, but I
Mhm.
wouldn't fall to the ground immediately, right?
Got
So
it.
the response was better, so to
Yeah.
speak, right? The heart would still race, but the attention would still get pulled by the thoughts, but then I could realize what was happening because I'd been through it before and I gave myself the space to experience it already.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
You're like, oh, this is my sensations that are coming up again.
Yeah.
This is what's happening, and just again go to that neutral awareness of it.
Mhm. Until eventually, with practice, this for me, it was moderate PTSD. It took about a year to overcome.
Wow.
And this is practicing daily. Don't expect that you're going to let go of all of your shit on the first try.
So you did that emoting, that feeling the emotions, like, well, how many times you think?
Several times a day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, especially if I was out and about.
Mm-hmm.
We're in Miami. This is a car city. There's no escaping car horns, engine revving, all
Right.
that nonsense. So I had to learn to be okay with
Yeah.
just the sounds of the city.
Yeah.
It's a really bizarre concept.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that I took for granted before, and it took me a lot of repracticing to get used to it again.
Wow.
But imagine yourself as somebody who has lived in the forest their entire lives,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden you get dropped in the middle of Miami,
Right.
and that could be really jarring.
Yeah.
For people who are not used to city life, it's really stressful. People get sick from it.
Yeah. So, what do you teach your students at Barry, this mindfulness class? I think it's so cool
Yeah.
that Barry University has this. That's such an awesome thing to hear.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I joke about that. The school they call the class mind and body meditation,
Mm-hmm.
but I do take the students through exercises like what we just spoke about,
Okay.
and a large number of the students that go through the class end up letting go a lot of past traumas. They mend a lot of
Mm,
relationships with estranged family members or friends that they've had quarrels with. They eliminate a lot of drama. And through this practice of training their attention, developing their awareness, they become people who do not get thrown in the face of turmoil.
yeah.
And part of the course is similar to what you do in the CIJ, where I have the students get really clear on their core values
Mm-hmm.
and get really clear on not only where they're putting their attention, but where they're spending their time,
Got it.
and give them opportunities to curtail their behaviors throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
And many students, it sounds risky. A lot of students, they go through the class, they end up changing majors.
Mm-hmm.
I've had students drop out of school.
Like
I've had students
CIJ.
go, yeah, I've had students
They
go
leave
travel.
their spouses, they quit their day jobs.
Yeah,
We're responsible for a lot of, I think, awesomeness,
yeah,
actually.
it's actually really empowering to think
Yeah.
about the life changes that come. Now, life changes can be scary
Yeah.
if you're not in the right place for it, and
Sure.
sometimes they happen when you're actually most of them happen when you're not in the right place for
Yeah.
it, but they needed to happen. But this is an opportunity for the students to deliberately create their futures and to take the conscious steps to live into the futures they're
Yeah.
creating. This semester, I've changed the course a little bit. We're training ourselves to become loving beings who are able to let go of internal obstacles to being present with people and being
Mm-hmm.
of service to people. And
Mm.
they don't know this yet, and I hope none of them are listening, but tonight
They
I'm
might
announcing
be.
they might be. We're
Don't post it on your page until later. I'm sure they're not my Facebook friend. They might be.
there's about 30 students in this class, and they have a final project in order to pass the class.
Yeah.
And their project this semester is to create a community service project that they get to coordinate together.
Nice.
And it's something that we're going to go through class by class the training required to letting go of barriers to collaboration, letting go of
Mm.
obstacles that get in the way of being present with people, letting go of beliefs that get in the way of fulfilling who it is that we say we're going to be. So if I'm holding a belief that says I'm not worthy, but yet I want to be a leader for my class, well, something's got to give.
Yeah.
What do you want more badly? Do you want to be unworthy, or do you want to be a leader? And then we
Yeah.
go through the process of paying attention to the emotional sensations that come up as a result of recreating in our mind the belief of not being worthy, or the belief of
Mm.
not being good enough, or not being smart enough. Whatever the core beliefs are that get in the way, we deliberately go into them and feel the emotional impacts that those beliefs have on us so that we can process them and let them go.
Right. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So it's really even moving into a lot of transformational work and
Hmm.
not just the basics of mindfulness and meditation. And it's like, because that's the foundation. I'm sure some of these students, have they taken the prior classes, or they just take one at a time and you change it
I do
up?
have some repeat students,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, so you
they
gotta keep them going.
one of the first lessons is no
No
expectations.
expectations. There
Yep.
you go. Just put that right out there.
Yeah.
No expectations.
So I
That's
see
on
the
my
returning.
phone. Oh, my phone's not here. That's on my phone. That's my screensaver.
Nice.
Number
Yeah.
one tool.
So key, right? Expectation. An expectation is a future thought that we have an attachment to.
Yep.
That's all it is.
That's
it's like,
all
oh,
it is.
It's
The
so easy.
future thought that we have an attachment to.
Yeah. Oh, it's totally going to go this way. It went this way in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence my rooftop meditation last night. Yeah. And it so serves you so well.
Yeah.
You know, to be that I'm reading Ryan Holiday's book right now, Obstacles Are the Way. Do you know it?
No.
Read it.
Okay.
It's amazing. So it's not so much the spiritual, but the historical and the scientific view of our work, the work that we do. Like I'm writing a new book right now. I feel like he's writing the same book from an historical and scientific perspective, and I'm writing from a narrative, personal perspective.
Yeah.
And both of us are saying the same thing, which is, how to allow obstacles to not, block you. And mine's like, just drop the rope, let that shit go,
Yep.
And he speaks about great leaders of our time and the things that they all had in common. And one of them is, and he puts it in the wording of the time, is their cool mind, right? Their cool mind, which to us is like being neutral, right?
Yeah.
But that really is part of being a powerful leader, and part of being successful is when the shit hits the fan, that you're like, this is what's happening. Interesting.
Yeah.
And that takes practice to get to that space where an event occurs and the one that wants to react and suffer is not as powerful as the aware one that's just witnessing it and not making it mean anything and going, okay, well, that was an expectation. I'm going to let that go right now. And to me, it's like mindfulness, meditation. These are practices for us really to just get off it. Like, how quickly can you get off it? And it could be your lost luggage. It could be a breakup. It could be traffic, whatever it is. How quick is your bounce back time back into peace, the seat of awareness, presence, and out of the reactiveness? And my bounce back time, like, because I make an Olympic gold sport. Right? I'm like, it's an Olympic gold sport of how quickly I can get off it.
Are you using an app to track it?
I'm creating that app right now. My team's
it's a
on
spreadsheet.
it. Yes. And I'm getting to the point now, well, I'll tell you the time where it first happened, but where I don't even need to get off it. There is no reaction. Like, it's literally like not there, which is really bizarre. Like, last night I was on it a little bit. I was like, this isn't the way the meditation's supposed to look. I was like, okay, get off it. I was like, okay, fine. Like, it's that internal dialogue. But I don't know if
we talk to ourselves, by the way. Even those of us who teach the practice.
Yeah.
We're a little crazy.
Yeah. There's there's Esther, and then there's Grace, and there's two of us in there, and Jen's watching the whole show, and my itty bitty shitty committee is telling me that this and that, and then Grace comes in and she's like, drop the rope.
And there's a laugh track, of course.
Yes, of course. We can have that happen, actually. But it was like a year ago when I was on a plane ride on my way to Africa, and this very laptop was left at TSA, and I grabbed somebody else's laptop and got on my first leg from JFK to Amsterdam, and then I was going to Amsterdam to Nairobi. And of course, as any writer loves long plane rides, I thought, wow, I've got 9 hours and then another 10 hours. I've got like 19 hours of writing. That's where I've written most of my books. And I pull out said laptop and I look at it and I go, that's not mine. And Brian, when I tell you, I mean, truth be known, I'm not an organized person, so I'm not the girl who backs up her laptop. Now I do. It's just like not one of my fortes. And so
this is one case where past experience in your future is helpful.
Exactly. Yeah. But like all my CIJ slides are on there, my book, like everything, like there is cause for alarm, right? There should be alarm. And like not a heart, like I don't even think my heart fluttered. There was 100% just trust. That I was like, all right, well, I'm just completely at trust. This is all perfect. So ring the bell. The woman comes. I explain to her. She goes, you're really calm. And I'm like, I know. And I said, well, I actually teach this. And I think I've just arrived. And she's like, wow, that's awesome. So anyway, we get down. I open up the laptop when I'm in Amsterdam airport. And I find this woman's resume. It turns out she's the senior editor of Entrepreneur magazine.
So of course she wanted her laptop back really badly.
No,
too.
but it was her work laptop. She was totally cool, Linda from Brooklyn. And so she said, you know what, keep it. We've got yours. They had ours and the security or whatever. She told me the number to call. And we'll, meet in New York on your return. And if you could just hold on to my laptop, I'd rather you not send it from Africa. So I did. And when we met, we started chatting and she asked what I did. And she said, oh, wow, I'd love to do an article on you. So in January, exactly. Entrepreneur
I just can't right now.
You can't make that shit up. But
But this
there,
is what happens when you let go.
this is what happens when you don't freak the F out. You get written up in Entrepreneur Magazine. Like, what the?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. OMG. So it's amazing. So even that experience just, it really even helped me more, especially when what came to pass and knowing that, like, in every moment, even in the face of obstacle and delay, the bike accident, the things that happen, like, the universe is working with us. And if we believe that, it's just, we get into our flow. And if we don't and we resist it, like you said, it persists and we just stay in suffering and in pain.
Yeah. And we keep creating the same pattern of nonsense over and over
Yeah.
again until we finally learn our lesson. And we can chalk that up to the
Right.
universe doing its thing, or we can chalk it up to, well, I'm just showing up in the world as the kind of person that attracts the attention of other people
Yeah.
who have patterns that are compatible with my pattern
Yep.
until I break that pattern, and then I can start attracting different people in different situations.
Exactly. Well, you have to become the interruption.
Correct.
You know, like you were talking about the interruption of the belief systems of the value. You know, like it. Are we gonna? Oh, I like that.
Take
Are
a
we having a
breath.
moment of silence?
Notice how you're feeling. And proceed.
And proceed. You know what? I'm so stealing that. I want to steal that for my class, but even more so when my son is there with his 10 friends in my living room. They're 17-year-old at McDonald's and they're blasting like Eminem on the tube. And I just go, let's all take a breath, gentlemen.
Yeah. If only it were that easy. But
I
it
have
could
a
be.
maniacal idea that I've always wanted to do CIJ with Cole and his buddies, you know, and
He'll do it.
no, he's done it. Oh,
Oh.
believe me, this kid he knows every live with upside backwards. I mean, he's like, oh, I thought we had all the time in the world. Is that a judgment? Is that your gremlin? Like, he totally nails me all the time.
Oh, goodness.
But I did say something to him maybe a year or two ago. I was like, you know, I created it for kids and teens. I'd love to. Ma, we don't have time. We've got homework. We've got this, da da da, and everybody's got football. And I was like, I get it, got it. But I think I have a window. I feel like when they get into college, because they're all applying.
It sounds like you're trying to manipulate and force an outcome here.
This is a full maniacal manipulation. I
Okay.
am on it.
How long has this been going on?
Just recently, it just came to me when I started teaching the kids certification the other day, and they were all talking about grabbing their kids and doing the training with them, and I was like, damn, I want to grab mine. And I thought, you know, their senior year, they're about to go off to college. What a great send off for all these boys to have these amazing tools to manage through,
Oh my
you know,
God,
and I
if
know
had
that I
in
can
college.
totally, I know, enroll
Oh
their
my
moms.
God.
They would totally be like, of course, but
Oh my
Cole's going to be
God.
like, Mom, this is so embarrassing. I don't know. He doesn't really do
Suck
that.
it up and feel it, bro.
He doesn't really do that too much anymore. He's like really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best thing about the class that I teach, I'm 32 now.
Yeah.
I'm teaching the class that I wish that I had when I was 20.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm giving these students who are off in college, a lot of them are on their own for the first time. They're going through the I'm on my own pattern.
Yeah.
And I'm giving them the wisdom that I've gleaned for myself in the last 12 years of my life, in addition to all of the other wisdom that I've been borrowing and practicing from your book and your course and all of the other great masters that are out there, and religious traditions, albeit there's no religion in the class. The practice of training awareness and one-pointedness and moment-to-moment mindfulness and insight is so key to dropping the rope, letting go of drama, choosing what's important, creating your life. And it's such a blessing to be able to contribute that.
I know. And they must really relate to you because you look like you're still 19, which is kind of cool.
I plan to continue looking like I'm 19, at least for the next 90 years.
My boyfriend does too, unfortunately. He looks like he's like he gets 20, he's 41, okay, so he always gets carded.
Hey, you ain't so bad yourself.
Thank you. But they're like, I think one time, it was right in the beginning of our relationship, but the person didn't know me, but it was funny. He opened the door and they go, "Is your mom home?" And when he shaves, like you guys with the beard, when he shaves, he looks like, I'm like, he was sitting on the couch one day and some new kid comes in and the guy's like, "Hey, what's up?" He's like, "Hey, what's up? I go to Gibbons." Like the other school.
Yes.
And the guy was like, "Oh, cool, what's up?"
Yeah. That's it could be a drawback, is, when you're in this business of life coaching
wisdom.
and mindfulness training, people
Yeah.
assume that, oh, well, you can't, but
Yeah.
it's like I'm doing a workshop on compassion and forgiveness for a group of 60-year-olds at Temple Beth Am down
Yeah.
in Pinecrest.
That's awesome.
And it's like being the teacher in a class of people who are twice my age.
Yeah.
It's no bother for me, but I can tell that there's a first impression
Sure.
to break through.
Yep.
And a lot of that has to do with the way that I'm learning to command that kind of space.
Yeah.
Showing up a certain way and taking command of the room and asking the right questions and putting people on the spot to look at themselves.
Yeah.
And really what this work is about, it's not that I'm here to teach anything to you. There's really nothing that I can give you. It's a matter of being a mirror of you for yourself.
Right.
That I can reflect back to you what it is that I'm hearing you say, what it is that I'm hearing you go through, so
But
that
there
you
are
can be aware
practical tools that you also write, like the
Yeah.
way that we are in CIJ, we have those, mindfulness tools, a little color walk, and
of it. Yeah.
things like that. What
And of course,
fun,
you give homework assignments.
yeah, what fun things what tools do you have them do to practice noticing, right? Where
Yeah.
are they putting their attention?
Yeah, so and this goes for anybody who's listening now. If you wanted to take on a daily practice, there are two really great practices that I'd recommend, and this is akin to flossing and brushing your teeth.
Cool.
Sit for 10 or 20 minutes, pick your time, do it for at least 10, try to go for 20, and simply watch your breath with neutral attention, much in the same way you would observe your emotions, or much in the same way that you would watch a bug crawl across the floor. Just notice and get curious about your breath and pay attention, despite your distractions. Just do the practice. It's going to be hard. It's going to suck at first. It might still suck 6 years later, as I'm finding out. But do it every day, and it's helpful. So set a timer on your phone. That's one thing. The other thing is practice daily gratitude and loving kindness. When you wake up in the morning, get into the habit of being thankful that you are alive, that you can breathe, that you're in a comfy bed, that you've got your resources and your basic needs taken care of. Start there.
Yeah.
And then go on to your relationships with your family and your friends and your lovers and everything that you have in your life that you can be grateful for, and practice generating a feeling of gratitude in your body, and then observe that sensation with neutral attention. Become familiar and comfortable with it. And then share that gratitude as loving kindness in your mind with other people in your life. So you can do that during your gratitude practice, or you can do it moment to moment as you're moving through space, encountering people who give you a tough time, or even people that you love. Be kind to them. Yeah. Outwardly and inwardly. Notice when your judgments come up and rearrange your face into that grimace that you just, I can't stand. Like, notice when that happens. Yeah. Observe it with neutral attention. Learn to let it go, and then practice kindness with that person. If somebody's asking the same dumb question over and over again, be of service and help them out. Yeah. If somebody gives you a tough time, be thankful that they're there to teach you the lesson of patience. Yeah. What's the gift? This was maybe like a year and a half ago. I was pulling into what was happening. No, I was in the parking spot. Both my doors were open. I was loading in groceries, right? I had my shit show in the trunk. And this woman is waiting to pull into the spot, but she can't because my guest door is, or my whatever, guest door? That's not passenger side door.
Passenger side door.
Oh, we found
is
the words.
Open, yeah. And so there are many spots for her, but she wants this one, right? And so she's beeping, and I'm like, hold on 1 minute. I go on the other side. She starts pulling in and actually starts pushing the car door with her car. Yeah. That's open. Yeah. It's just pushing it. And I said, stop. Just stop. I said, roll down the window. And I was so calm and so loving to her. And she's screaming at me. And I actually put my hand on her hand that was on the steering wheel. I go, are you okay? And she burst into tears. And I was like, I must know that something's going on for you. And I'm sorry that you were so upset that you were taking it out on my car door. But it's going to be okay. And she just cried and backed up and pulled away. It was powerful, coming from a girl from Brooklyn who would have, kicked her ass 10 years ago, right? Like, it's so funny how this work has just made me so nice.
Yeah. Well, there's a difference between being nice and being compassionate. Right?
Yeah.
Nice is something where you tolerate people walking all over you sometimes, and compassion is when you can really feel into somebody else's heart.
I like that distinction.
And what I'm hearing from that story, the lesson that I take from that is that we've all been there. Every human being that is going through some moment of stress or anger or suffering is a human being just like you, who has gone through loss and pain and just wants to be happy and loved and free and at peace, just like you do.
Yeah.
And if you can bring yourself to relate to the person at that level and put yourself in their shoes, you can get how, well, I can see how I could become that way.
Yeah.
Let me stop and relate to this person as a fellow brother or sister.
Exactly.
And hey, listen, I feel you. I get it.
Yeah. So be loving, be kind. Brian, it's been great to have you on the show. Yes. How can they find you? How can they work with you? All those good, juicy things.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of avenues depending on your interest. If you'd like to hear more about the mindfulness work that I do, you can contact me at brian@mindfulnessofdoom.com. And likewise, you can listen to the podcast that I do with Corey Hardiker called Mindfulness of Doom at mindfulnessofdoom.com.
It's hilarious.
It is a very, very funny podcast, and it approaches awareness from the dark side of life. And if you would like to work with me one-on-one, you can contact me through the same email address. I do private mindfulness training with students. One-on-one, I help you create your life purpose and let go of bullshit from your past.
Woo.
And I'm also a mindful media creator. So I do create a podcast, but I do focus on marketing and design for conscious businesses.
Beautiful.
And so we do everything from digital marketing funnels to basic logos, websites, things like that to help you get up and running. So we work with yoga teachers, wellness centers, we work with nonprofits of all types, people who are out to do good in the world. We want to support you with marketing because we understand that the mindset required to do good does not necessarily need to be focused on doing the shouting out. We'll do the shouting out for you. Yeah. You go help people, we'll help you.
Awesome. Let's pound that one.
Boom.
Yay. And for those of you who are listening to this live, head on over to the Standard Hotel because I'm doing a free mindfulness workshop today there at 12 p.m. or 7 p.m. And it is how to use mindfulness to overcome fear and anxiety.
Definitely be there.
Yeah, be there. And you can go to jennifergrace.com/events to sign up for that. And then on Saturday, I'm doing a day of mindfulness at the Sacred Space.
Beautiful.
It's a women's retreat led by myself and Yogi Shelley. She's going to do some beautiful sound healing and yin yoga. And then we're going to shift into a little bit of a life makeover. So I have this new fun process that we actually do collaging, but like on intention cards. So we create the intention and then we collage the back of it. And then we're going to be doing some mind mapping and accountability and action steps towards those awesome dreams.
Awesome.
So that's also at jennifergrace.com/events. Thank you all. Thank you, John, for being our awesome producer. And thank you, everybody who
you, listeners,
listening and on Facebook Live. And we'll see you every second and fourth Tuesday on Jolt Radio. And listen to Jolt Radio. It's an awesome station.